Right now, somewhere in the world, two people are looking at each other, and their brains are quietly catching fire. It happens to almost everyone, that dizzy, helpless pull toward another person. We call it love, but what is it really? Because under all the poetry, love is something your brain does. A storm of chemicals, ancient circuits, and pure survival. It can feel like magic, but it is one of the most powerful machines evolution ever built. And today, we are going to open it up. This is the science of love. First, a myth to break. Love is not a modern Western invention. It is woven into almost every human heart on Earth. Anthropologists once studied 166 different cultures looking for signs of romantic love. They found it in nearly 9 out of 10. Lovers sneaking away, songs of longing, the ache of wanting someone, almost everywhere. And it is old, far older than you think. The oldest love poem ever found was carved into clay 4,000 years ago, written in ancient Sumeria for a king by someone who loved him. The very moment humans learned to write, they wrote about love. So love is not a trend. It is an instinct, as deep and as human as language itself. But to understand it, we have to do something strange. We have to look at love not as a feeling, but as 3 different things at once.
Because the scientist Helen Fisher discovered that love is not one system in your brain. It is 3, and each runs on its own chemistry. The first is desire, raw attraction, driven by the hormones testosterone and estrogen, the spark that says, notice them. But desire is broad. It can point at many people. The second system is what narrows it down to just one: romantic attraction. This is the obsession, the euphoria, the cannot stop thinking about you, and it runs on dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical, the same one that fires for food, for winning, and yes, for drugs. It floods you with energy, focus, and a craving for that one person, as if they were the most important reward in the world. And then comes the third system, the quiet one, the one built to last: attachment. Attachment runs on 2 gentle hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin, the chemistry of calm, of safety, of home. Oxytocin is released by touch, by closeness, even by a hug. It is the glue that turns passion into partnership. 3 systems: desire, attraction, attachment. Each evolved for a different job. And falling in love is all 3, tangled together. But here is where it gets wild, because that second system, the obsession, does something genuinely shocking to your brain. Helen Fisher slid people who were madly in love into a brain scanner and showed them a photo of their sweetheart.
And their brains lit up in a very specific place, a deep, ancient region called the reward center, the exact same region that lights up in the brain of someone on cocaine. Let that sink in. When you fall in love, your brain is not just happy, it is high. Love is chemically an addiction. And that changes everything. Because Fisher realized love is not really an emotion at all. It is a drive. A drive like hunger or thirst. Emotions come and go, but a drive pushes you relentlessly toward one goal: them. That is why love can make smart people do reckless things. It is not weakness. It is one of the strongest forces in your brain. The more in love people felt, the more their reward center blazed. Scientists could literally see the intensity of love. And love does something cruel and kind at once. It dims the part of your brain that judges.
Lovers literally see fewer flaws. Love is blind, the saying goes. And it is true. Your critical mind quietly steps aside so the bond can take hold. But if love is a high, then like every high, it comes with a strange and obsessive shadow. Why in those first months can you not stop thinking about them? The answer is a chemical that drops. Serotonin, the chemical that helps keep your thoughts steady and calm. In new love, it crashes. It falls so low that it matches the brains of people with obsessive-compulsive disorder. That is not a metaphor. Early love is, chemically, a kind of beautiful obsession. Your brain genuinely cannot let them go. And those famous butterflies in your stomach? They are not poetry either. They are a stress response. New love floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone, the same one you feel before an exam or jumping from a height. Your body treats falling in love like an emergency. Heart pounding, palms sweating, stomach flipping. Red alert for joy. It is thrilling. It is exhausting. And thankfully, it cannot last forever. Your body simply could not survive it. After a year or two, the chemistry calms. But before we get there, we have to ask the biggest question of all. Out of all the people in the world, why this one? What pulls you to them and not someone else? Part of the answer is hidden in something you would never expect. Smell. In one famous experiment, men wore the same shirt for 2 nights. Then women were asked to smell the shirts and rank them. The women preferred the scent of men whose immune system genes were the most different from their own. Why? Because parents with different immune genes give their children a stronger, broader defense against disease.
Your nose may be quietly sniffing out the healthiest genetic match for your future children. Attraction as biology. And there was a twist. For women on the contraceptive pill, the preference flipped completely. The pill quietly changed who they were drawn to. It hints at something unsettling and fascinating. That hidden chemistry below your awareness helps choose who you want. Now, be honest, the science here is debated. The smell experiment does not always replicate, so do not overtrust your nose. There are other pulls too. We tend to find symmetric faces beautiful, a possible signal of healthy development. But here is the most reassuring finding in all of love science. Across 37 cultures, scientists asked what people want most in a partner. And the answer, almost everywhere, for both men and women, was not looks, not money. It was kindness. Above status, above beauty, what humans crave most in love is a good, kind heart. Maybe we are sweeter than we think. But love does not only build us up. When it breaks, it can wound us in ways that are shockingly, physically real. A broken heart is not just a figure of speech. Scientists put heartbroken people into brain scanners and found something stunning. Looking at a photo of the person who left them lit up the very same brain regions as physical pain. Rejection does not feel like pain. To your brain, in part, it literally is pain. The ache is real. And it gets deeper. A rejected brain in love looks like a brain in withdrawal, like an addict losing their drug. That craving, that desperate checking of their messages, that obsession. It is your reward system screaming for its missing fix. So if heartbreak has ever made you feel like you were physically falling apart, you were not weak. You were in withdrawal. And in rare, extreme cases, a broken heart can strike the body itself. Doctors have a real diagnosis called broken heart syndrome. A sudden emotional shock can stun the heart, mimicking a heart attack. Usually after a terrible loss, the heart muscle weakens and falters, even with no blocked arteries at all. Grief made physical.
Most people recover. The heart heals. But it proves something profound. Love is wired so deep, it reaches all the way to your beating heart. So why would evolution build something that can hurt us this much? To answer that, we need to meet a small, furry creature. This is the prairie vole, a tiny rodent that holds one of the biggest secrets about love. Because prairie voles fall in love. They pick one partner and stay with them faithfully for life. They share a nest, raise their babies together, and grieve when their partner is gone. Sound familiar? But their nearly identical cousins, the montane voles, do none of this. They are loners. They bond with no one.
Two almost identical animals. One loves for life, one loves no one. So what is the difference? It is in the brain. The faithful voles have more receptors for those two attachment chemicals, oxytocin and vasopressin, in their reward centers. And here is the astonishing part. Change those receptors and you change the love. Boost them in a loner vole and it can start to bond. Block them in a faithful one and the bond fades. Love turned like a switch. And we humans, we use the very same chemicals for our deepest bonds. Oxytocin and vasopressin tie us to the ones we love. Now, careful. A vole is not a human, but it whispers a profound truth. Lifelong love has a chemistry, and it is ancient. Only about 3 to 5% of mammals form these lifelong pair bonds. We are part of that rare, devoted club. Which leaves us with the deepest question of all. Why? Why did evolution give us love in the first place? To understand why we love, look at the most helpless creature on Earth, a human baby. A baby horse runs within hours. A human baby cannot even hold up its head for months and needs care for years. Raising such a slow, fragile, big-brained child was almost too much for one parent alone. So evolution may have found a solution, a force strong enough to keep two parents together through the hardest years. Love. Romantic love could be the glue that held parents side by side, and attachment the bond that made them stay. It is a beautiful idea that love exists because our children needed us not to walk away. But be honest, this is a hypothesis, not a proven fact, and there is another side to the story. Because maybe two parents were never enough. Maybe it took the whole tribe, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, friends. It takes a village to raise a child, and that ancient truth may be written into our love too. Love partners and for the whole group. However it began, the result is the same. Love made us care for each other, and that care kept our fragile species alive. But now, the hard truth we all fear, that dizzy, obsessive butterfly love, it fades. It always fades. After a year or two, the dopamine storm calms. The serotonin steadies. The cortisol fades. The fireworks quiet down. For some, that feels like the end. The thrill is gone, so they go looking for the next spark. But what fades is not love. It is just the chemistry changing shape. Passion gently becoming something deeper. Attachment. And here is the most hopeful discovery in all of love science. Lasting love is real, and scientists have seen it. They scanned the brains of couples married for over 20 years who said they were still madly in love. And astonishingly, their reward centers still lit up with dopamine, the same bright glow as brand new lovers. But with one beautiful difference. They had the dopamine, the joy,
the reward, but without the anxiety, without the obsession. Long love is not a faded version of new love. It is the reward without the fear, the high without the panic. The same couples also lit up the brain regions tied to a mother's bond with her baby. Deep love borrows the oldest circuit of all, parental care. And the secret to keeping it? Novelty. Couples who keep exploring, trying new things together, keep the dopamine spark alive for decades. Love is not something you find once and keep. It is something your brain keeps choosing and quietly rebuilds again and again. You lose the butterflies, but you can gain something the early days never had: peace, trust, and a love that finally feels safe. So what is love? It is not magic, and it is not weakness. It is one of the oldest, strongest machines evolution ever built. A drive as powerful as hunger, running in your oldest brain. It is a chemistry you share with a tiny vole in a field, a force written into us before we could even write. It exists most likely because our fragile children needed us to stay, to care, to hold on to one another. Science can map the brain, name the hormones, and watch love glow on a screen.
But it still cannot tell you why it is this person. Why they and no one else set your whole brain on fire. And maybe that last little mystery, the one science cannot reach, is the most human thing about us of all. If this warmed your heart even a little, stay curious with me. There is so much more strange and beautiful science to explore. I will see you in the next one.